Before the temples, before the shrines, there was stone. And in the mountains of Japan, sculptors carved faces so fierce, so divine that people believed the gods themselves had guided the chisel. Tonight we walk through the pantheon of Shinto, every kami, every demon, every sacred presence frozen in marble. But one face was carved last, hidden away, so terrible that even the sculptors feared to look upon it twice. The Shinto pantheon is unlike any other. There is no single creator god, no rigid hierarchy. Instead, there are kami spirits in everything, in stones, in waterfalls, in the wind. Some are gentle, some are hungry, some are so ancient that even Japan's oldest sculptors could only guess at their faces. Over 30 figures carved in marble and wood, each one a doorway into Japan's deepest mythology. Stay until the end. We begin with Amaterasu, the sun goddess herself. Her marble face glows even in shadow, because to carve her, sculptors believed they had to capture light itself. She is the supreme kami, the source of life, the reason Japan calls itself the land of the rising sun. Every emperor claimed descent from her divine bloodline, yet even she could be wounded. Her myth holds a secret that will haunt us, but here is the terror hidden in her legend. Once the sun goddess hid herself away in a cave. Darkness consumed the world, crops failed, snow fell in summer. The gods could not coax her out with prayer, only with a mirror, a jewel, and a sacred sword. The mirror showed her own reflection and she emerged. But for 3 terrible days, heaven and earth were without light. Next stands Tsukuyomi, god of the moon, Amaterasu's own brother. His sculpture is deliberately placed in shadow, away from the light that bathes his sister. Because Tsukuyomi committed an unforgivable act, he ate rice that fell from the harvest goddess's mouth. For that pollution, Amaterasu banished him to the night sky forever, separated by heaven itself. Susanoo is next, and his marble face twists with rage and hunger. He is the storm god, the chaos god, the one who defies order. Unlike his siblings, Susanoo is neither purely good nor purely evil. He is the typhoon that destroys and the wind that cleanses. Sculptors carved him with muscles tensed, as if at any moment he might shatter his own stone prison. His greatest deed was hunting the serpent. Deep in the mountains of Izumo, a 8-headed dragon called Yamata no Orochi was demanding human sacrifice, one maiden each year. Susanoo got the creature drunk on sake, and as it slept, he cut it into pieces. Inside its tail, he found a sword of such power that it became one of Japan's 3 imperial regalia. But Susanoo himself could be conquered. When he urinated in Amaterasu's sacred hall, he was banished from heaven, sent down to earth with a curse. Any trouble he caused would fall upon his descendants for 7 generations. Even the most powerful gods answer to consequences. Even the storm pays the price for its fury. Now we turn to the kami of agriculture and grain. Inari stands with quiet authority, adorned with offerings of rice and sake left by farmers for centuries. Inari appears in different forms across Japan, sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes both at once. The sculptures show this duality, faces carved with ambiguous grace, suggesting a god who transcends singular identity. Inari's sacred messenger is the fox, the Kitsune. Foxes in Japan are tricksters and shapeshifters, capable of taking human form to seduce, deceive, or guide the lost. Sculptors carved Inari's foxes with knowing smiles, eyes half closed as if aware of secrets mortals will never understand. A fox near Inari's shrine could mean blessing or curse. Next we encounter Raijin, the thunder god, carved in the act of striking. His marble sculpture shows him surrounded by drums, the taiko drums whose thunder mimics his voice. His face is twisted in exertion, muscles straining, because summoning lightning demands absolute force. Farmers both prayed to him for rain and feared him as the bringer of death. Raijin's dance across the sky could destroy entire villages. But there was one thing that terrified him: cats. In old Japanese belief, cats, especially white cats, could see between worlds and ward off thunder. Sculptors sometimes carved small cat figures crouching near Raijin's feet, a reminder that even the most powerful force has something it fears. Fujin, god of the wind, appears in sculpture as nearly invisible, his form suggested by flowing robes and wild hair, as if the stone itself is caught mid-gust. His face shows pure joy, the delight of movement and change. Unlike Raijin's terrifying power, Fujin represents transformation and the freedom of motion across the world. The kami of fresh water, of springs and rivers, appear next. Mizuha no Mi is often shown as a graceful female figure pouring water from a jar. The sculpture glows with a different kind of light, cool, reflective, as if the marble itself remembers the taste of pure spring. She is gentler than storm gods, but no less necessary to life itself. But turn the corner of the gallery, and suddenly we are no longer walking among gentle spirits. The demon realm begins. The Oni emerge from the darkness, massive stone figures with horns of black marble, eyes like burning coals, mouths twisted in hungry snarls. These are not evil spirits exactly. The Oni are chaos itself, hunger itself, the boundary between order and oblivion. The Oni of plague and disease wears a face of hunger so profound that looking at it stirs primal fear. Sculptors depicted him with one eye larger than the other, a mouth that never quite closes, fingers stretched long like claws. He is not cruel because he chooses to be. He is cruel because hunger is cruel, and the Oni embodies all hungers that devour civilization. Yet even Oni can be transformed. In certain rituals, Oni are driven out by priests throwing beans while chanting. The bean-throwing ceremony, Setsubun, echoes through Japan each winter, a spiritual battle frozen in time since ancient days. Sculptors depicted this moment, the Oni cowering, the beans like missiles of light, the boundary between seasons marked by sacred chaos management. The Oni of fire burns with jealousy and possession. This demon appears in sculpture with flames carved into the very stone, suggesting heat and rage beyond mortal comprehension. Sculptors used darker marble for this figure, almost black, so that the fierce expression seems to emerge from shadow itself, as if the demon were being drawn out of the void. But not all demons are utterly opposed to humanity. The Tengu, half-man, half-bird warrior spirits, are portrayed in marble with almost noble bearing. Their long noses extend like proud beaks, their wings folded but ready. Tengu are tricksters and martial teachers, capable of kidnapping monks to train them in secret warrior arts. They are dangerous, but not without honor. The Kappa is carved as a darker figure, shorter, with a strange flat-topped head and webbed fingers. This is the water demon that dwells in rivers and ponds, drowning the careless and the proud. The sculpture shows it with an almost plaintive expression, not evil, but alien, operating by rules humans can never fully understand. It is hunger and mischief embodied in one wet, lurking form. The sculpture reveals the Kappa's weakness. It is obsessed with politeness. If you bow to a Kappa, it will bow back, and water spills from the cavity in its head. Powerless without that water, it drowns instead. An entire demon, vulnerable to a simple gesture of respect. The sculptors carved this moment of mutual obligation frozen in stone. Across the gallery now stand the guardian spirits, Shinto protectors carved in aggressive stances, meant to stand at thresholds. The lions called Shishi guard temples with open mouths that roar silently across centuries. These are not demons, but not quite gods either. They are the bridge between worlds, the keepers of sacred space. The female Shishi wears a more serene expression, sometimes with a child between her paws or resting against her body. Together, the male and female pair form a complete cycle, protection and nurture, power and gentleness, the eternal dance of creation and defense. Sculptors placed them at shrine entrances so they would be the first and last presence pilgrims encountered. In the deepest part of the gallery stands Susanoo again, but this time not in anger. This sculpture shows him after his redemption, after exiling himself, after the curse began to fade. His face is weary but wise. He looks like he has seen too much, felt too much, but survived. He is the kami that mortality taught something about itself. The three Imperial Regalia stand in a chamber of their own. The mirror of Amaterasu, the sword taken from Yamata no Orochi, and the jewel that called the sun goddess back to heaven. These are carved as separate works, each glowing with its own significance. Together they represent sovereignty, warrior virtue, and the feminine principle that binds creation together. But there is one more figure, the most terrible, the most beloved. Amaterasu returns, but not the sun goddess in her glory. This is Amaterasu as Omikami, the great spirit, the presence so overwhelming that no mortal sculptor dared carve her face completely. The sculpture is blank, featureless, allowing each viewer to project their own understanding of divinity. The absence is the sculpture, the void is the answer, because Amaterasu, the supreme kami, is not a person, she is the principle itself. The light, the source. Any face carved would diminish her. So the greatest sculptors did the impossible, they carved nothing, and in that nothing they captured everything. This is the moment the hook promised. The figure hidden for last, not terrible in a demon's fury, but terrible in its completeness. Because when a god becomes so absolute that it cannot be depicted, when the divine becomes featureless, that is when mortals understand the gulf between their world and heavens. That is when silence teaches more than any sculpture could. From Amaterasu to the featureless absolute, from Susanoo's rage to his redemption, from Oni chaos to guardian peace. Japan's gods and demons in stone tell the story of a civilization that understood divinity not as simple good and evil, but as forces in eternal tension. Kami and Oni, order and chaos, light and void, all necessary, all eternal. Which god or demon do you believe still walks the earth? Tell me in the comments below what kami spoke to you. And subscribe to Gods in Stone, because next we descend into the temples of Greece, where Zeus waits and his rage is older than stone itself. The gods are watching. Do not look away.